Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. Now, this is probably going to be a bit more informal and whatnot, since I don't really know what to call this. I don't know how to categorize this under random rant or game discussion, because what I am going to be talking about in this video is kind of a mix of both, and I'm just pretty much using Among Us as an example, as well as other games that I'm going to mention. And that's about trends and the trends on the internet as a whole, in regards to media and social media. And one of the big trends right now is Among Us, and right now, excuse me. And, it really just seems like everyone's hopping on this game because it's popular and streamers are playing it out of nowhere and whatnot because it's just trending out of nowhere. And so all you really see across YouTube and whatnot and social media as a whole is just Among Us memes and stuff like that. And, this isn't really a like Among Us attack video and whatnot. I appreciate Among Us. I think that it's, once again showing that a game doesn't necessarily need, high-end graphics to be enjoyable for people, and so it just feels like more so like just a game to play with your friends. And, it's just trends as a whole really just seem to just annoy me because, when we look at a game like Among Us and whatnot, all it really seems like is like, pretty much just a Mario Party investigation style game. You know what I mean? It's like it's something that you can play with your friends occasionally, but it's not necessarily something that you would play consistently. And the game itself isn't necessarily like in depth and whatnot. And now it's not that you can't again find enjoyment with it, but it's just like there's not much to it. You could probably only play it for so long after you get kind of bored. But trends as a whole say, well, it doesn't matter if you're getting bored because you are going to play this game if you want to maintain the views, And that's kind of what I'm talking about. And it's not just Among Us. It's like, Fall Guys, games as a whole. Like, and it's not really just games. It's more so like trends as a whole because it just really feels like the internet right now is a place where if you want attention or whatnot, and if you want views and clicks and followers, then hop on a trend. It really just seems like people don't really play something because it's fun or entertaining. They just play it because it's the trend to. Like I was talking about Among Us, there's not much to the game, and boom, there you go. And yet, for months now, all we've seen is Among Us pretty much, And again, that's likely due to the social media influencers of YouTube and Facebook and all kinds of gaming platforms as a whole playing the game and making it a lot more popular. But it's also due to the fact that since they made it popular now that it is a trend to, that's pretty much all we're seeing. And we saw this as well in regards to Fall Guys and whatnot. But this is like where my kind of problem is, and again, this is not really just me attacking Among Us because I do think the game's overrated, but I do still think it's a solid game. It's just trends just seem to like just ruin stuff because people just get behind the trend, and after a while, it gets so completely redundant and outdone that people just don't want to play it, and then people just start hating it because it's just so oversaturated. Like, for example, like, I personally, for example, Cyberpunk, like, I don't know, like, any kind of FPS these days, I just don't. There's no degree of excitement when I hear about some new FPS being developed. It's such an oversaturated genre. The last time I actually got excited for an FPS was Destiny 1. Like, that was pretty much the only FPS that I can honestly remember that is exciting to me. Like, there's not a single new FPS personally that is enjoyable. Oh, what about Doom? I mean, Doom is, again, it's still the kind of, like, it's not unenjoyable for me. I'm just saying, like, Doom is still just, just shoot 'em up kind of genre game. I'm talking like FPS in the context of like maybe story or whatever. You know what I mean? Like the standard typical stuff like, oh, we're making a new game and it's the standard FPS, and maybe they've got like some redundant story, and it doesn't even have to be like a multiplayer game. It just, just FPS. It's so oversaturated, and that's my kind of thing about trends, because trends just completely ruin stuff. Like, I said a while back ago that, like, the oversaturation of Battle Royale was killing Battle Royale, and that was like a year or something ago. And I don't really see how what I said in that video is wrong, because right now I don't really see too many Battle Royales, coming out on the scale that they were coming out, like, perhaps a year or two ago. Because, again, the genre has been completely overdone, and it's not that enjoyable now. Like, I mean, it still gets a lot of views, but nowhere near as much as it did, and that's what I'm trying to get across with trends, you know, like, trends, I don't like trends. I don't like people just following trends for, you know, their attempt at success and whatnot. It just seems to me like, of course you're probably going to want to play it or do whatever the trend is, because if your goal is to be like a social media influencer, you want to do what's going to give you the highest chance of getting notarized, and so if that is, in fact, following a trend, you're probably going to follow the trend. But it just seems like, you know, at what cost, you know, like, I personally am not a trend follower, and I just want to make content that's meaningful and enjoyable for people, and, you know, I'd love if people like that, but, you know, the views don't lie. If I probably posted Among Us for like a week straight, I'm almost certain that that's going to literally outperform anything that I have spent making over the course of my entire, my entire channel lifetime. And it's just because of a trend, you know, and it just seems like the internet as a whole right now is just a place where if you want to grow, you must follow a trend. You know, don't be yourself, just follow the trend and go from there. And I hate that, because it's like, I look at all these channels and they're spending all this time and effort, you know, trying to make this really, really good quality content, and, you know, someone can just post a video about a bunch of guys running on a spaceship from two people pretending to be a killer, and that gets more, you know, clicks than someone who has literally edited a video probably for months, and it gets, like, no views, you know. But I mean, that's a whole nother kind of thing, because that's about YouTube as a platform. So it's a whole nother thing. But trends as a whole, for me personally, I don't know, man. It's just, I feel like they're such a stupid thing, and I feel like people who get behind them are just desperate for views and clout. And I'm not saying I don't want people to have views, because, you know, like, I hate when people try and say, oh, so you're saying you just don't want this person to have views? Who makes a YouTube video and doesn't want views? Of course, that's not the point. What I'm trying to say is people should be able to be themselves and still get the views, unless, without having to follow some stupid trend all the time, whether it's Fortnite or Among Us or Fall Guys or whatever it is, you know, because the fact of the matter is we're in a generation that will follow any trend, no matter how ludicrous and how absurd. I mean, back when I was in high school, people were eating Tide Pods because it was trending. People were walking off of cliffs playing Pokemon Go. You know, and then they start making that trend or whatever that is, you know, the game or the product, they start making that look bad because they're following a trend and they're doing stupid stuff with it. So, as a whole, I just really feel like trends just, they're really overrated, and I feel like they just end up killing the product or game or whatever it is that is trending over time, because it gets so oversaturated that it's just not enjoyable. And it's really just the cause that a lot of stuff that's, like, not even remotely as good as it's made out to be gets so much attention. It's just blown out of proportion because it's trending. So, with that being said, I know this is kind of just a rant and me just getting my thoughts out there, but I hope you guys are kind of understanding, and let me know how you feel. Like, are you similar to me? Like, are you kind of, like, annoyed with all these trends and whatnot, and how, you know, some new thing that's trending can just come along, and irregardless of how much effort someone has put in, like, genuinely entertaining content, you know, some guy can literally just make a video on a trend and literally, it's not even funny how far the views surpass. Like, are you similar, or do you think the same? Please let me know in the comments below. As always, rate the video what you think it deserves. Tell me what you'd like to see in the future in the comments below. Feel free to check out my Amino linked in the comments, as well as my BitChute linked in the About Me page of my channel. And I will see you all next time. Take care, stay safe, and God bless.